Hi, so welcome to the Evolving Outlier. I am so excited today to have a friend, another boss lady. I have the best friends. I know the best people in the entire world. But my friend Michelle Mitchenor. Do you add speaks to the last part?
Mitchenor. Well, professionally Mitchenor. Michelle Mitchenor, yes. But okay. If you know me,
yeah, if they know you,
it's Mrs. Speaks.
You know what I'm saying? Married to another really good friend of mine who at some point tried to get me in shape. It's a whole nother story. But today, she's graciously said that she would join me on the podcast today to talk about evolving outliers. And I'll give you a little bit about what that means. So I was talking to a friend and she was just saying, somebody asked you, who are you? And I was like, to be honest with you, I never fit in anywhere. From the time for as long as I can remember, I've never fit into the category. I was a chick who played ball, right? And the pretty girls were over there, and I was the tom girl over here, right? And then the Christians, you know what I mean? I was a Christian, but all of that, Kojic, and I'm like, why y'all do all that ritual stuff that don't seem like it? I never quite fit in. Then I became a pastor, right? And I'm a female lead pastor, leading and founding a church, which is a man's world. I worked for Disney and corporate America, only Black. I never quite fit in. I said, but I feel like in every space I evolved. And I evolved to be more myself as opposed to fitting into the box. My friend was like, man, that's kind of deep. That's interesting. I said, I feel like I'm an evolving outlier. And then I just kind of sat back. I was like, ooh. She was like, I bet everybody kind of feels like that at some point in time, that they don't necessarily fit in. So this podcast is really dedicated to the people who feel like they're just outside of the in group, whatever that in group is, but who don't mind the journey of change and evolution, but don't want to put up with man-made foolishness, religious rules, and stupid stuff. So that's what the podcast is all about. So I'm inviting all my friends for the first season. And I'm so grateful that you're here to just talk about, have you ever felt like the in group's over there and I'm over here?
Yes, I felt like that first in my family.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel I was the only one who really was pursuing the arts.
What was everybody else doing?
Just being good in school, and I come from a military family, okay. So military, government workers, and not that wasn't great, stable jobs, stability. I think that was a big thing. In my family, it was about stability and being able to take care of
consistent
paycheck, being able to take care of yourself. And I feel that my father, especially having young girls, it's like, I want you to be able to take care of yourself and be good and be set. Thing. Yeah, it's a daddy thing. However, the outlier, I love that part of me. My mom, though, she put me in, the arts at a very young age, and it just continued to just blossom as I grew. So I would say it started there. Okay. But the cool thing was that everyone was just kind of like, yeah, she's just a crazy artsy kid. Like, we just go to her recitals. We just deal with her antics throughout the house. It's just what she does.
It's who she is.
It's who she is. So I would say it would definitely have started there. But similar to you, definitely being in different spaces where I felt strong in where I was, strong in my position, knowing that this is where I belong, but also just feeling different, feeling that my calling or my purpose or the way that I settled into the space was just a little different than everyone else. Not necessarily in a negative way, but just as I've gotten older and as it's evolved, I now understand that it was just unique to me.
Right. And the truth of the matter is, God has made us all unique, right? We all have a fingerprint that's unlike, and it's amazing because we all have thumbs, but the fingerprint of every person is different. It's our identifier. It's God's signature on our lives. And yet, at the same time, everybody seems to be striving to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous thing to me when there's never, ever been a you before you. And they'll never be, as much as you have many me's at home, right? They still will have their own temperament, their own personality. You see it now, right? Their own will, their own desire, their own creativity. And thank God for your mom, who was willing to see something in you and then put you in the arts, as opposed to trying to, because some parents do this. I want you to be a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. And so here's your choices. which doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, which one would you like to be? Because I'll pay for this, and this.
Right.
And anything outside of that, I'm not paying for.
Yeah.
But thank God your mom was willing to say, oh, okay, creative. Let's do something with that. And let's make all the rest of the family
deal with her antics. Yeah. And you're right. Thank God for that.
It's a blessing.
It is.
That's a
it
blessing.
really
Because
is.
you know
Fortunate.
people who went to school for stuff that their parents wanted them to be. And spent 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, let's not talk about the people.
Yeah.
Years pursuing something that wasn't really at the core of their being.
You know what was odd though, which always I look back, I'm like, I don't understand how that happened. So I spent my entire life being just this crazy artist. And then when it was time for undergrad, it was like, all right, so I'm like, yeah, I want to be a dance major. And it was like, no, because it was like, really? But what have I been doing this whole time? Yeah, I think it was this idea that it was just a hobby. Like it was just kind of this thing to keep me, out of trouble, not getting pregnant at a young age, out the street.
All the parental things.
All the parental things. It's like, wait a minute, you like really want to do this? And so I did have to really stand my ground and say, no, I'm serious about this. Like I, at 14, decided to go to a performing arts high school. And you decide at a young age to do any kind of like specialty, a charter school or performing arts high school, you're pretty committed to what it is that you want to do. And I'm like, what do you think I've been doing this whole time? Like I'm about this.
The difference between a hobby and a career.
Yes.
What do you do as a parent? This is nothing to do with you because you are wildly successful in the things that you've put your hand to.
Yeah.
But what does a parent do when a kid has a hobby that they think they want to pursue as a profession, but you also see they're not good?
Ooh. I have not been there.
And I'm so glad you haven't.
My babies are so little, I can't.
Right, but that you just made me think about that, right? Let's put it in a different way. The parent who has a kid who plays basketball, but he gonna be 4'9".
Yeah,
and I'm exaggerating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he has aspirations of the NBA. You know what I mean? How do you navigate support, right? When ultimately they're not gonna play, but maybe they need to go to school to be a trainer.
You don't want to do both, or
to be a coach, to be in professional sports or something. So you just gave me a whole different thought about that as you talked about that. So how did you ultimately convince your parents to support you going to dance?
It was definitely more so my father, and I feel like my mom and my bonus mom were kind of, as women, I feel like they're a little. It seems as mothers, they're a little more like, okay, baby, well, that's what you want to do. I mean, he knew it was a fight that I wasn't backing down from. I believe it pretty much ultimately ended there. It was just like, all right, this is what she wants to do. And I will say that it does feel good to know that in choosing that, that discipline in that major, that I've worked in it and that I've continued to still work in it. So I'm like, see, like your investment,
it paid off. It paid off.
I'm still here and I'm still in the arts. And so I just had to be like, Dad, I have a plan. Like, just trust me. Like, because his biggest thing was, and I started my career as a dancer, professional dancer. So his biggest thing was like, okay, at some point, that body ain't gonna be them knees, ain't gonna be them knees.
Right.
You know what I mean? 19-year-old knees are very different from 30-year-old knees.
And they're different from 50-year-old knees.
Yeah.
Let's be real clear.
With
my two surgeries.
But you look good.
Thank you.
And I always just told him, like, I have a plan, Dad. Like, I'm. This is just the beginning of my career. It's just my door in, and I'm gonna continue and hone on other skill sets that are gonna create, the life that I want for myself. And it's just like, eventually, like, all right.
So now he clicking, watching First
Wives
Club.
Now, you know how on Facebook, how some Facebookers are like, everything is on Facebook. If I something I did 5-6 years ago, don't forget to watch this. I'm like, Dad, that came out 5 years ago, but they still need to be watching. You know what I mean?
Nothing like a proud dad.
Yeah. So now he definitely sticks his chest out, and so I appreciate the fact that he just stepped aside and let me do my thing. He to this day though, he gonna let me hear.
He wouldn't be a dad or a parent if he didn't. Mm-hmm. And you'll be the same way, trust me. I'm a little bit ahead of you in the game, but you'll be the same way. Yeah. It reminds me of, I worked for Disney, as you know, for 20 years, and on the theme park side, Parks and Recs, and we would walk in Disneyland with that silver pass, and you could get people in free, and I would take my family, and my mother would walk through the door going, my daughter created all this. My daughter created all. I'm like, Mom, I did not. I'm in finance.
Right.
I'm in finance, right? I'm not even working at Disneyland right now. I'm in Tokyo, working on Tokyo parks. But she's like, the reason you're having fun is because my daughter, she did all of this. And I'm like,
Mom, no.
I'm so sorry. Please forgive my mother.
My dad,
That's how they are.
yes, and my dad will call me or text me like articles or whatever that's going on with like different projects or some, and I'm like, Dad, I'm in the project, so like I know like who's in it. I know the storyline. Like I'm in the movie.
He's sending you the Variety article.
like,
I don't know if you saw this. Dad, they interviewed me.
Yeah, like
I'm aware.
I'm there.
That's cool.
It's super funny.
What's where's a place in your career, Lethal Weapon, First Wife Club, all the things that you've done, where's a place where you may have felt intimidated?
Ooh. I will tell you where I felt intimidated probably two times, because I just feel like the icon that I was standing in front of, I had to just really like, okay. The first time was when I was working with Beyonce. And it was a very intimate moment to work with her, because I don't know if she still does it now, but what she used to do was have different choreographers come in and just kind of workshop different ideas and movement and such. And so in doing that, you're in a more intimate setting versus like an audition room where there's like hundreds of girls in it, right? So it'd be like, at one particular moment, it was just myself, the choreographer, and her type of thing. In a very intimate setting. And it's because she's just so, at that time and still to this day, just iconic in everything that she does. It was just like, okay, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want her to think that I'm being too pressed. I don't want to be, but then I also want to do my job. You know, just that kind of fine line of, I guess, just wanting to not do the wrong thing. And get kicked out, like, get this girl out of here. Like, what is going on? But what I learned from that moment is, one, we all bleed.
Yes.
We all bleed. And two, that it's just all work. It's just all work and passion.
Yep.
And seeing her passion and how she was, I was like, oh, we cut from the same thing.
Right.
Like, I saw a lot of my work ethic in her. So I was like, all right, okay. I don't need to feel so intimidated by this moment. I need to feel inspired. And
what was the switch though?
How cool she was.
Okay.
Because it was like, oh, you can be all that she is
and still be
grounded and be down.
Yeah.
She was sharing, things that I feel like I just had this image of, like, she wouldn't say anything to anyone and just be really standoffish and just as a lot of celebrities are, because they get burned by people who are just want something from them. But she was fanning and just like doing too much, you know what I mean? And she was not like that at all. And then the second time was actually my first feature film, which was with Spike Lee.
Okay.
And I, eager beaver, was ready, got there really early to the table read. But I just wanted to just woosah and kind of have a moment. But when I walked into the room, Spike Lee was sitting at the table and nobody else was in there. And I was like, hey, what's up? And he was like,
oh, he just gave you the head nod?
And I was like, I was like, okay. But at this point, I had worked with some icons as a dancer. So I'm like, I wasn't, at this point, I wasn't nervous to say hello because I've been around so many legends. But then the fact that he kind of just hit me with the like, yeah, I don't know you yet. So what's up? I'm like, okay, he a real New York dude, okay. Cool. I kind of just took it.
And you're like, but I'm a Jersey girl.
Yeah, but I'm a Jersey girl. So what happened as we continued to work together, I just be like, hey, Spike. And then eventually I started getting him to smile, and then he like opened up to me.
Got it.
But I was intimidated because I was like, okay, wait, like, why didn't he say hello? Right. Did I not say the right thing? Did I get in here too early? Like, I was just like,
what's the thing that if somebody was listening that you could tell them if they walk into that room and an icon is sitting there, or the CEO, or they're walking into an interview for a job and the boss is there. It could be at any level, because it's relative at every level, right? Whether, you at the garbage company interviewing to be a garbage man, right? Which they make a lot of money, by the way.
Yeah, they do.
Say that. Or it's an icon in the entertainment industry or whatever. What would you advise a younger person walking into that space who feels like potentially I'm nobody yet?
You're supposed to be there. And I'm getting kind of just chills in thinking about it, because I just truly believe that, like, you are in those rooms for a reason. And I know it sounds a little cliche,
Nope.
but I promise you it is. And it may be just to observe.
Yeah.
It may be just to absorb.
Right.
And it may be a glimpse
And what your future
is
looks
what your
like.
future is, and how to be kind at that level, how to be firm at that level. You know what I mean? And those are the things that I picked up from so many people. And I look back on my path and my trajectory. I'm like, man, whenever I'm doing something, it's always with someone who is legendary and very well accomplished in the game, who's like what it would seem like just like light years ahead of me in the profession. But I look at that as it's a glimpse, it's a snapshot. Like, this is where you going, sis.
Right.
So to that young person who's listening, I promise you, if you're in the room with whatever that CEO, that you're it's a mirror.
Yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
good.
It really is. It really
That's good.
is.
I was thinking that sometimes we're all created for purpose, on purpose, but sometimes we forget, again, that there's not another me. And if God placed me in this space for this season and this time, then to your point, I am supposed to be here because he's ordered me here and set me in this space. And so to not shrink in those moments.
So important.
But be the fullness, and square your shoulders, look them in the eye, give them the firm handshake,
what's
and
up?
let them know who you are, not arrogantly. Because sometimes I think we can move past that line too, right? And move from I'm confident and I'm trying to exude confidence into arrogance, and people pick up on that too.
That's so true. And I think sometimes we can often forget what the things that we have, even someone in that position could benefit from it.
Absolutely.
They're like, wow, I haven't maybe in however long haven't been around someone with your light, your enthusiasm, your professionalism, your all of the things that you encompass. And here you are going in potentially shrinking, not knowing that they need you just as much. It's an exchange. And once I started really realizing, and I'm so grateful for my path as a dancer first, because once I transitioned into doing more film and TV and acting, and it was immediately with icons and like legends. I'm happy for those moments before as the background dancer to sit and watch and observe and take in and understand that world a little bit more, because it really prepared me for the path. And now what happens is when I'm on these shows or these films and I'm in a more of a leadership position or the lead of it, I'm looking at someone who's coming in and I'm just more cognizant of, hey, how are you? How you doing? You good? And wanting to just allow people to relax in who they are so that they can show up in their fullness in the scene or whatever it is.
What's the difference between, for you, being, I just saw something, you're going to be starring in some Black Mafia, something coming up. I just happened to see that a couple days ago. What's the difference between having your name first and not having your name listed at all, but you're in it?
Yeah. Well, I will say,
aside from money and your name being out there and people knowing what you're doing, all of that's a given. The internal emotion of it. What's the difference for you?
I'm really happy that you asked this question, because I really had to process this a lot on a personal level, on a therapeutic level, in therapy, and on a spiritual level. Because when you do become number one on the call sheet, is what it's called, you feel is that everything is on your back. You're carrying everything. That's how it feels, because you're at the forefront of it. So how you walk in, how your demeanor is that day, your mood, it can affect everybody.
Right.
And so you have to be so aware, I believe, of not only the work you have, because you're on every page, every other line, every frame, but then you also are trying to be aware of just everyone that you have to constantly work with all day, from makeup to wardrobe to hair to the camera people to the stand-ins to the producers to your co-stars. It's a lot of energy that you're exerting, and it can be overwhelming.
So what do you do?
Well, me, prepare.
How?
Prepare, and one, of course, like my script, just really knowing that as it like in and out, and having my notes and having things as organized as I can, kind of like my Bible of the job, if you will, and being able let me go back to this, Two, what I would do is I would get up before my call time, even if it's early call times, and I would go to like my yoga class.
Okay.
Because it's like I just need to just meditate and pray while also getting a good sweat. Like, so I'm like just releasing everything.
Toxins,
Just all the things, any in like, what do they call it? The imposter syndrome,
Yep.
any of those thoughts, fleeting thoughts, just trying to remove those so that when I step into that car, when they pick me up to go to work, it's like, okay, hi, ready, I'm here, I'm alert. I would say support, being honest in what it is that I need from family. Just recently, speaking of the film that you just mentioned, I had my bonus mom taking care of my newborn. So, and I was still pumping the entire time I was working every 3 hours. So having the support, having things in place, the production company was phenomenal with supporting me in that, which is great. And having honest conversations, being firm in what you need. Sometimes that can feel uncomfortable, but I feel if you lead with grace, hopefully you can get the job done, and resting if you can.
If you can.
Now, when your name is further down the call sheet and you're not as have to be there as much, I feel it's important to just keep in mind how much work everyone else is doing. So you want to be there as a support. So for example, when I was on Lethal Weapon, I was the detective on the show, but I wasn't one of the two lead actors on the show. So I try to always lead with think with, how can I support them today? Being on my lines.
Because we're a team.
Yeah, because we're a team. I got these 2 scenes. I don't need to they've been in here all day. I don't need to come in here not knowing what I'm saying.
Right.
Someone who's number one, who has so much dialogue running in their head, to have a little bit more grace when they're trying to, okay, what page am I on? Where are we at again? But if you coming in, you number 9, 10, 11, 12, etc. on this call sheet, and you're just coming in for this quick scene, come in to just support and get the day moving, keep everything going, being, like you said, being a part of that team, because it's a lot of work.
I want to go back to something you said, this imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Right? Which, there's buzzwords in the world, and imposter syndrome has been going around for a minute. And I don't mean to belittle it all. It's legit and it's real. Yeah. And I absolutely have felt it, and had to move past that feeling from time to time. What would you say has been the most impactful season that you've had where you felt like, what am I doing here? Who let me? Have you had those moments where you feel like, am I a grown up? Wait, I'm 12. People, I'm 12. I don't know what I'm doing. Who let me in this room? I was just barking. Who opened the door? Have you had those? What's the most impactful time that you've had where you felt like, I hope they don't find out who I am?
I'm going to be honest, motherhood.
Really?
Yes,
who gave you a baby?
Who said I could raise a human? Got it. But then there's moments, actually I was just telling you how we had a emergency room visit, you know, type of thing. And you have to tap into your instincts and your intuition and who you're responsible for. But sometimes I be laying in a bed oh my gosh, they're going to get older.
Don't blink. That's all I can tell you. Sydney finished schoolwork yesterday and graduates June 1st.
From what?
Leaves for dance conservatory in September.
Wow.
You can understand that.
Yes. But she's going to have so much fun.
She was your kid's age 20 minutes ago. I promise you it was 20 minutes ago.
That's where I feel it the most.
Yeah.
It ain't even work. I ain't going to hold you. Because at least with work, I can lean on the fact of I've been doing this since I was 2. So, I'm going to get it together. I've been a mom for 2 years. And what trips me out about parenthood is anything else, any job we go, any profession we go into, we try to get as much information as possible, and we're studying, and we're
they don't come with a manual. God could have put a little pocket, you know what I mean, in them, where as soon as they come out, you just kind of take it out and you go, okay, this is how the personality is going to go when they say this, but he didn't.
And I'm really and I'm trying my best as well to have to parent from a place of awareness, from, being firm, because I think that's important.
Yes.
But also aware of like, I'm really fussing because I'm tired and I just want them to go to bed.
Right.
Versus she's just being a 2-year-old who's just doing all the things.
And got more energy than you ever wanted to have at this moment.
You know? So I have felt imposter syndrome as a mom because it's just really hard. And I'm just like, wow, you're only going to keep growing and you're looking at me to show you how to be a person in the world, to be a whole person.
But you're an amazing person.
I know.
So there's a model in front of them that is okay. There's a template here.
I know, but dang. So yeah, motherhood.
I get it.
I always say, ain't no hood like motherhood.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I'm listening and watching my two. They come in the room with so much from time to time that's so deep and heavy. Not in a negative way, but just they'll ask these deep and heavy questions, and I'll just look at them and I'll be like, "Who are you? And who raised you? And where did you get that?" One day I walked in the room, they were talking and they were deep in conversation, and they said, "What's your attachment style, Mom?"
Ooh.
I said, "My what?" She said, "Your attachment style." You know what I mean? What kind of style do you have as it relates to attaching to people, what have you? So then they broke down the definition and everything, which I was aware. I just let them go.
Yeah.
Right. And then they told me what they thought my attachment style was.
Were they correct?
Well, I was mad because they were absolutely correct. They were like, well, you grew up and, Nana was busy, because Grandpa was doing his thing. And so you had to be the oldest since you were a little bit parentified, and you had to be responsible. And as a result of that, you love hard, you love deep, you love loyal, but you don't always feel like you get it back from people because you're so busy giving that you become codependent. I mean, and I just was like, whoa, slow down. Slow it all the way down. But they're people.
Yeah.
They come here with their own stuff, right? But God trusted them to us, to you, right? And I think he knew who to give the kids to. I'm convinced. Because mine have just transformed my life. I thought I was going to have boys, but, God saw fit to give me a more tender and soft side. I was like, we're going to play ball and cut hair and all the things. He's like, you're going to find somebody to help you learn how to braid. That's what you're going to do. Because I can't do hair to save my life.
That's so funny because I'm like, I want to try one more time and see if I get a boy in it because I have 2 girls. And I'm like,
are you going to do it? You going to do 3?
Yeah, I think we're going to try. We're going to see what happens. What is meant to...
Let me just applaud you now.
I know. I'm going to be outnumbered.
Listen, when the doctor leaned over that sheet, I had a C-section, and he leaned over, he said, oh my God, she's got hair down her back. She's beautiful. Are you sure you want me to tie your tubes? And I didn't even say nothing. Whatever my face did, he said, okay. He disappeared back over the sheet. Wow. I signed the paper in the doctor's office. I brought 2 copies with me. I handed them one. I was like, there's no way in the world I'm doing this again.
I feel you.
I'm just not. But I was old, too. Okay. I was 40, going on 41 when I had Sydney.
Why do you look so good? What you be doing?
Listen, I don't even know, but thank you.
Coconut oil? What is it?
Listen, I'm 58.
Drop the regimen.
A hot towel on my face in the morning. That's about it. I don't have time for a regimen. What do you mean?
I know, right? A hot towel. I do hot towels. Okay, maybe I'm maybe I'm on my way.
Your skin is beautiful, child. You look great. But yeah, I was older.
Okay.
And so that's why I was done, and I had 5 miscarriages. So. Yeah, and so I was just like, I don't think so. Cool. I'm good, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Your girls are just.
I ain't gonna lie, they're gorgeous.
They're phenomenal, inside and out.
They are, and I'm so grateful. So you work with icons, as you have said, and legends, right? Jill Scott, Mr. Wayans, all the people, Spike Lee. You hit the scene with some heavy hitters. Yeah. What do you attribute that to?
I'm a heavy hitter.
That was where I was hoping you were going.
If we were having this conversation a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have said that.
What would you have said?
Well, I just work really hard and I just
humble.
God just has a plan. Yeah, he does have a plan, but
this plan was for you to be a heavy hitter.
Yeah, and I had to really just be like, okay, it's okay to be that girl,
and it's okay to say you are that girl, right?
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah,
I have big feet.
You do?
I do. For a short person, I have really big feet.
Really? Because you definitely about 5'11".
5'5". That's it. 5'5".
You're
Oh, no, I said 5'5".
You sure 5'5"?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Not like 5'3".
No, I'm 5'5". Now my girls are 5'8" and 5'6.5".
I think you might be giving yourself a few more inches.
No, I'm serious. I'm 5'5",
Okay.
but I wear an 11.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And I used to like, what? Well, I didn't wear an 11 before I had babies.
Right.
I wore a 9.5 and then a 10 after one and a 10.5 after the other one. And they don't make 10.5. So
You have to do it.
you have to do an 11. I don't mind extra room though. Let's be real clear.
It's all good.
But I used to wonder, why are my feet so big and I'm so short? And then somebody came and said, because your footprint in the world is big.
Ooh.
And I said, oh. And then I quit complaining about having big feet.
Yeah.
They were like, you need those feet for the footprint that you're making in the world and to hold up the stature of who God has created you to be. And I was like, well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So I will never complain again.
About having that. Yeah. It's something about knowing who you are.
Listen.
I had to really just be like, okay, this is not just, serendipity happening over and over again.
Right.
This is intentional.
Yeah.
In my career and my path. Like I said, it's a snapshot. And so what am I going to do with that though? That's what I had. Those were like the internal conversations I started having with myself. Yeah. Because if down the road I'm going to be in that position, how am I going to pull, my fellow artists up? Yeah. I mean, because it ain't just mine to have.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at some point, God going to call me to, call me home. So I want to also take into consideration that it's more than just the number one on the call sheet at the moment, or it's more than just the gig that's happening, or all of that. It's like in the moment when we're presently there, what exchange are we having with each other? How are we evolving?
Yeah.
And so those are the things that I think about. Like, I think it's you heavy hitting. Yeah, there's a lot that come with that though.
And if you don't know who you are, they will assign an identity to you that fits their definition, that fits their comfort level. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right? Because everybody wants to feel comfortable in the space that they're in. And if you are a boss lady, if you handling stuff, that makes other people sometimes feel away. Yeah. And so if you don't define who you are, then they'll assign one to you. Yeah. Right? And then try to force you into that box.
That's true.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Don't let that happen. Yeah, try your best. But it's time though.
Huh?
I think time though. Over time you start to learn who you are and what that means and what your boundaries are and what your expectations are. Having emotional intelligence is really important. Mm-hmm. Ooh. Yes. Because sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes you're just like,
listen.
Okay.
And let them have it.
Let you got it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Also knowing when you're not going to change somebody's mind.
Ooh.
Because it's already made up. Mm-hmm. And you could talk to you blue in the face, but they are not going to change their perspective, their mind, their worldview, anything, or their perspective of you. I had this problem before whenever there was a disagreement with anybody. Doesn't happen often, but my go-to would be like, no, let me show you more of my heart. Let me show you more of my heart. Let me let you see more. And my therapist was like, so you just exposing your heart for them to shoot more arrows? Because their gun is loaded already. Yeah. And they're not going to change. Their perspective is set. Yeah. So instead of trying to prove that you're not in the box that they've put you in, why don't you just live outside the box and let them catch up?
That's good. I definitely, I've gotten better at it, but I can identify with that tremendously, especially because as I started, and I feel like I'm still ascending, right? But in certain situations on social media where I've been attacked by trolls or what have you, and wanting to just speak your piece and trying to, I guess, get people to, like you said, see your heart, and they're set in what it is that they feel.
One of those, I think, was the BET, something or another, you were pregnant.
Yeah,
and you told me that people came for you.
Oh yeah, they told me God was not pleased with me. That I was not.
Because you were pregnant.
Because I was pregnant and that I was exposing my belly. And that's not something that God likes, and so that I was going to go to hell for it.
They've never been to Africa.
Right. Oh yeah, I clearly
never traveled the world ever in life. You have been in Oakland, inner city, wherever, your whole life, and never been anywhere to see how different cultures express the beauty of pregnancy.
We don't go to Uganda often. Yeah, it's when you see the world. Of course, we know that you know, and I think I handled that well, right? Because it's also as if I had to remember these people don't know me.
Yes.
And I can't respond to every single person who thinks, you know, but it did affect me to see someone say that I was going to hell because I was.
Because they're God.
Because they're God. And because, like you said, because I was pregnant. And I think even the biggest thing with that was that it was a pregnancy after a loss. So it's like, you don't even know.
Your story.
You don't even know my story.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And how triumphant this moment is for me and my baby and my family.
Right.
But it's also not my place to just, like you said, have to tell everybody everything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you feel, then pray for me. You know,
Right.
hold me up.
Yeah.
Lift me up then. That's the case.
Go to God on my behalf, please.
Please. I need all the prayers, apparently.
Or send me a Bloomingdale's gift card
Either
or a
way.
Nordstrom's
You know
one.
what I mean?
Or your favorite designer. Feel free.
Yeah. Or a nanny bill.
Yeah. And design an outfit for me. You know what I mean? But
All
yeah,
the
people,
things.
it's funny. The internet has given people the ability to have such incredibly big opinions and to hide behind the IG symbol or the Facebook symbol. Because there's no consequences for trolling people. None whatsoever.
No.
Right?
You block them, they create another page.
Absolutely. So,
And then, so back to the motherhood part, like I've made the decision of like, okay, like I don't show my girls like their faces on the internet, or I just feel like that's my way of just protecting even myself. Because if someone says something about them,
Mama Bear going.
oh man,
That's even harder than somebody sending something about you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't have I guess I don't have the emotional intelligence for that. Me, cool.
I don't know if that's emotional intelligence or that's just Mama Bear survivor
you just gotta
syndrome
know
protecting
yourself.
the cubs.
I ain't the one. So I ain't even going to expose. I ain't even going to.
Right. Don't load the gun
Yeah,
for them is the way I say it. Don't put
exactly.
the bullets in there for them to shoot at you.
So just trying, that's a fine line too, just trying to be, like you want to give your all and like share things and inspire and this and that, and then you feel like sometimes you do and you get
foolishness.
man.
That's what I said. Living outside the foolishness and the stupidity. One last thing.
Yeah.
So moving forward in spaces wherever God is leading your footsteps next, how do you, if somebody were writing your epitaph today, what would you want them to stand up and say about Michelle?
That's such a loaded question. Honestly, I would want them to say or share how actually fragile I am.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. I want to share that and how fragile I am, because I often have to lead with so much strength and so much perseverance, and a lot of the roles that I attract, you know, in my career, even being number one on call sheet again, you have to lead in such a, such a strong and definitive way. But I'm really very fragile, you know, and I would love for that to be shared, because I think it's important for people to see that both things can exist. Yeah.
In the same person.
In the same person.
How about in the same moment sometimes? Yeah.
Yeah. Birth is like that. Because you
gotta be strong.
You gotta be strong.
At your weakest
but
moment. Yep, been there.
Yeah.
Been there.
It's no joke.
Not at all.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, Legacy was a home birth. I didn't share. Yeah, she's a home birth.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Hold on. I walked in the door with a t-shirt that said epidural now. And on the back it said, "I'm sorry, but you didn't hear me? Epidural now."
Wow.
That's how I walked into the hospital with a t-shirt on. I was like, no thank you. We're not doing this.
We was in the house and the hubby was I call him my like husband doula, daddy doula.
Really?
Yeah.
With nobody else?
No, I had my actual doula there,
Okay.
and I was fortunate enough to have a doctor who does home deliveries as well as hospital deliveries, so that, and either way it went, I could choose which way, and we went with the home birth, and it was incredible.
Wow.
It was incredible. I felt like God. I think that's the closest I've ever truly felt God, though. I ain't gonna hold you. It was different. That thing was different. Then the physical tapping, I'm like, woo! All right. Yeah.
Listen, when you said I'm that chick, you are, because I applaud you for that one. And I can't wait to meet this new little one.
Yes, I was gonna bring her today, but
Yeah, she'd run this show.
yeah.
She
ain't
run
got
this show.
time,
She's
yeah.
like, I'm the boss lady.
Yeah.
Y'all can cut out.
Yeah,
all this. Well, I want to thank you for being a part of Evolving Outlier. You are an amazing person. I love you dearly. I'm always so proud of you. If I see something Instagram or some pop up of Michelle's doing this, I'll be like, I know her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know her.
Same though. Likewise, I'm like, look at PD out here just changing the world.
Listen, one day at a time, one moment at a time. I'm just trying to be an authentic me, right? And serve the people that God has called me to serve with intentionality and authenticity.
And what I love about you and I love about you in this podcast is it's so spot on to you and your personality, especially, I don't know, folks who are outside of LA. I feel like there was somewhat of like a church culture here that was just kind of odd and weird, and everyone was trying to like find it and figure it out. But I feel like you've stayed so true, so consistent.
Thank you.
To who you are and what you believe, and the church family here. It's like anyone who enters these doors, you immediately just feel like a warm hug. Quite literally, actually.
Thank you.
And I just really appreciate that about you. And you officiated my wedding, so
I did.
you're
I
like
was
forever.
so honored. Yeah, it was so beautiful.
Yeah. So I just wanted to just say that because it's not just a catchy podcast name. Like you really walk what you're talking, and I respect that.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, folks, thank you for joining us today with my incredible friend. What's it called? What's the next one? BMF? Black Mafia
the
family.
First Lady of BMF.
First Lady of BMF. Catch my girl. She's going to be amazing when you see it. And thank you again for being here. I love you dearly. I love your family.
Love you too.
Yeah. Peace. All right, y'all.
Peace.